think we're professionals about this.
We are so professional that we actually forget to look at the time and start the show when we're supposed to. And
Yay.
actually,
I remember.
When I started the intro, I heard Kjetil say, I don't know if you guys heard it, but I heard Kjetil say, it's a good thing we're professional. So we're so professional that StreamYard doesn't mute all the microphones at the same time.
That is funny. That was great.
That is funny. And it's a great week. We're all 5 of us this week, which is really great. Welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, guys. Getting close to our little summer break where we don't have anything scheduled, but we'll probably end up with a stream or 2 or 3. We got this week and next Sunday, and then we're at the end of season 2 of the European Ham Radio Show, and we'll be back with season 3 in August. So
the weekend after that is American 4th of July weekend, so yeah, it'd be kind of tough.
It is.
I know it's a little slack getting here, guys. I apologize, but it's 3:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday here. It's kind of tough.
I can understand that. And the weekend after that is also the time of the European Ham Radio Show Poda Camp Out, which will happen in Sweden this year, the island of Rosse on the Swedish west coast. So if you don't have anything planned for the weekend in 2 weeks, you're really welcome to join us. Check out our Discord, hamshow.eu/Discord, and there's a channel for the meetup there. You need to bring something to sleep in, tent, hammock, something like that, and radio gear, batteries, whatever.
And oil.
Hydration.
Hydration is important. Is important. So we are not on topic at all. Topic today is which ham radio brands and dealers can you trust, or probably the alternative title should be which sponsors will we not have on season 3 of the show?
Oh, I think that's going to be a long list.
Yeah. How many did
I
we
hope
have
the
this
audience
month?
is helping there, right?
Yeah. So, but before we go to that, our ham radio weeks, let's do we don't do the week now when we're 5. We can do the moment. Tobias, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
My ham radio moment of the week. Let me.
Ooh.
Basically, spending too much money on a power supply. You can see.
Ooh.
That looks
then
nice.
I was playing with my bicycle while set up. Metal copper plate with a VESA mount. It looks much more professional. The slight drawback that I still have thought out a few ground issues. Because this the 3/8-inch mount is always a bit problematic for us Europeans, screw it onto something and get a ground connection. But I'm working on it. That was my ham radio moment.
That's a good ham radio moment. And Walt, I'm guessing that your ham radio moment involves a tower, or am I wrong about that?
No, that was fun. I did that. Wednesday was a federal national holiday here, so I was off. I did that Wednesday. Went out and hooked a wire to a tower and tried to get it. I did have one QSO, but I think my moment was yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, it's field day here, and yesterday afternoon I'm in Rhode Island, so I found a local club and went out to the park where they were at. And wow, they were cool. It was Whiskey 1 Oscar Papa W1OP, which is the Providence, Rhode Island amateur club, and they had, some of the coolest antennas up in trees. The park they were in were a bunch of trees, and they took the wire shape of a Moxon, and at each corner they threw the wires up in the tree, and they balanced it out, and they had a 20-meter perfect Moxon they built out of rope and wire, and they had 2 of them. They had 2 of them, and I'll tell you what, man, they had them. Being in Rhode Island, I'm all the way east and kind of up into the northeast. They had it directly at California. They were just lighting. I can't wait to find out log wise how they did, but the guys that were operating that, they had 4 or 5 different stations, but the guys that were operating that Moxon, I wish I had taken a picture of it. I was just so excited, and it was so cool to be out there. But yeah, that was my moment. That was really cool. So they gave me an idea. I want to do that now. I got to go find a wooded area where I can, and get enough way to launch and find just the perfect branches to launch the ropes, and then bring up that Moxon nice and pretty. But that was, whoever thought of that, freaking genius, man.
It's brilliant if you have the tree spaced relatively evenly out.
Yeah, they took some, it looked like they took some really heavy rope and built the square, and then attached the wire on the rope. So they had a rectangular. The rectangle was set, and then when they pulled it up, but that was my week right there. I was geeking out because I'm an antenna geek, and I geeked out on that one.
That is so cool. I so want to try that for our field day at the club. That would be fantastic to try. I have the. I think I would make it from steel wire.
Yeah,
so it would be the radiating element and the supporting element in one go. But other than that, excellent idea. I'm gonna have to try that when I'm with some more people.
I got a Moxon idea as well now, so we might be the Moxon channel after a while.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the other cool thing, I'll get off this one real quick. The other cool thing is being 800 kilometers from home, and there was like 40 or 50 guys out there, and I found them online, and I just showed up. I didn't tell them I was coming or whatever. But when I got there, it's like the celebrity mode kicked in. Everybody's, oh my, it's Coast Away. Somebody yelled, Coast Away the wires. So that was like one of the coolest. I don't care what anybody says. That never gets old. It doesn't. And it was really cool. That was a cool feeling. And I just, it's humbling. And I'm like, I hope that feeling never goes away. I don't ever want to be an egotistical jerk, because man, I'm like blushing. These guys were doing it. So that was a really cool thing too. So that was my day. Yesterday was a great day.
That is really cool. I've noticed at Norwegian ham meetups that I sometimes get a little bit of that attention as well, and it's a great feeling, except when there's a line of 20 people wanting to say hi to you, which didn't happen yesterday though on my Hamfest. We'll get back to that. Kjetil?
Yep, I've been on vacation this week. Lovely week here at the cabin mostly, and I actually found time to do my first POTA activation in a month, and then I expanded that to be my first POTA rove. So I did the 6 riggings that day. I activated 5 parks, and the first one was with a broken coax, so I had to go back later in the day. But that was fun, and really fun to see how the bands changed throughout the day, from being like I got 10 QSOs in 5 minutes on SSB for the first one, to the second one taking half an hour, and had to go digimodes. So it was an interesting day out there and a lot of work, and interesting to see the difference when you have a lot of time versus, for example, the radar challenge, where you have a time limit. Here it was just relaxing and going and getting some ice cream in between and things like that. So it was a nice day out in the sun.
I like that you refer to a POTA rove as relaxing and have all the time in the world, because time is the one factor that has usually stopped me when I attempt doing this, because setting up and tearing down takes a whole lot of more time than you expect to, and at park number 4 the bands usually die.
Not if you're trained. Like, so if you had tried, for example, doing a radar challenge, and you had to do the same within 3 hours instead of having 24 hours to do the same, or like 10 hours, which I used, then you'd see how relaxing it is comparatively, or compared to the other thing. So
still, I mean, that is impressive, getting a rove there. That is really impressive.
It helped that somebody had ordered or gotten a lot of new parks set up nearby where the cabin is. So like 4 of these were within 5 minutes driving off each other, and they were almost drive to POTAs, but the longest I had to walk was 1 kilometer. And the rest were like 10 to 50 meters from the car. And then the last one was a boat one. So yeah, it's a nice area to do POTA in.
Sounds great. Bob, what's your ham radio moment?
Yeah, let's see. Just a comment on Kjetil's thing, because I got some park registered in the city where I live. So I think I have 5 or even 6 parks within easy walking distance. So
Yep.
I'll one day when I'm feeling really bored, I'll try and do that row by myself. It shouldn't take more than a few hours, I think, even on foot. So
I thought you were bored every day.
I am, but I'm not sure everyone gets that. So I'll
Because your real name is not Bob, is it?
No, it's not. And my real name is it's a B and an A with a ring on top of it, and an R and a D. And in Norwegian, that's pronounced board, like being bored or a piece of wood. So yeah, that's the reason why I use Bob. It's I have stories. I'll get into them at another time. But my ham radio moment is fairly short. The only ham radio I've been operating, other than 6 meter on my new loop, has been a park activation today. That was NO 2539, I think. Pretty quiet bands. There was a contest on, so it wasn't really a problem to get the 10 contacts, but I didn't get a lot of response to my spots. So I don't know if that was just me or if the bands has been like that today. And another thing, since I'm doing just the moments, I'll be really quick and I'll show if there was such a thing as a sonogram of antennas, like you know when you get of babies in before they're born, I would get a sonogram of an antenna that would look something like this. Because I've got some new things to play with. I got them a while ago, but I just unpacked them today. These are all 6 meters long, and there are different size aluminium, what I would call it. Yeah, I think there's a lot, and there are lots of antennas lying about there, and looking forward to turning those into actual antennas. I think that's enough for me.
Quite beefy aluminium pipes to me.
The biggest one there is 18 by 18 millimeters, so it's not as beefy. The picture lies a little bit, I think. But yeah, good selection of sizes. But yeah, that's me, Morten.
That is great. I don't know really where to start. It could have been when my power supply said poof and the house smelled like magic smoke the other day, and the Flex radio did not take a hit from that. But it's not. That's
now
not.
You know why I ordered this one. Yeah. Once I saw that message, I thought maybe the Chinese power supply I got from Amazon needs to be put to some other use.
It was not a Chinese power supply. It was an old handmade Swedish linear power supply, and it's probably not a hard fix. But I managed to borrow a power supply from my club, so did that
Probably
instead.
Capacitor gave up or something like that.
Yeah. But
things age.
when powering really expensive radio, I actually prefer to have a decent power supply. Which reminds me, since the Flex radio has power poles as a power input, the cables are not fused, so I need to make a set of fused power pole cables now, just to be sure. Besides that, it could have been that I did my first POTA activation in a couple of weeks, but that was nothing to write home about, so it's not that either. But me putting on a Hamfest yesterday, together with a local club where I work, that was my ham radio moment of the week.
That was cool.
I put out a video on that this morning. Not a fantastic turnout. About 60 people stopped by. So it could have been more.
If you make it an annual one, the first one was 60. That's
the second one was 60. The first one was 100.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's trending good, right?
It's trending the wrong way.
I have to say that everyone I spoke to after that thing were really hopeful that this is going to be an annual event. So at least the ones that came, they had a really good time and want to come back next year. So I hope you keep it up.
As I said, maybe it's just vacation season and people are not in town. I think
I think the timing was kind of wrong. So we just need to figure that out and make a decision on where to have it, if we're going to keep it at the same venue. Since I won't be working at that venue in another 5 days, we need to figure out where to have it and how to organize it. But it's a lot of work, and I was hoping for more than 60 people. to be honest. But then we had a good program though. We had a junk sale. We had one dealer show up. The league showed up. I had a talk about parks on the air as an alternative to having a shack at home. Showed one of my videos with a pile up, and all the older hams said, "Ooh." And you could just see the jaws dropped in the audience when I showed the pile up.
That was fun.
That was fun. And then we had a debate with 5 middle-aged and older men, white men, talking about how to make the hobby more diverse and friendly for the kids.
Yeah, or women.
Which is
How did that go?
White men.
The conclusion is probably that 5 middle-aged and older white men does not have the solution on how to make the hobby more youth-friendly.
I have to say, I love the way you actually concluded that panel. And for those that weren't there, his 16-year-old daughter was there, and he asked her from stage, "So, do you think we've said or done anything that would make you want to get into ham radio?" And she just said, "No."
No, what I actually said is if one of us made a TikTok video and you got that in your TikTok feed about ham radio, would that make you interested? And she said no.
Yeah. But
swiped away so fast you cannot blink, right?
but both of you guys, Martin and Bob, both of you have kids in that age, so you should make them make videos about this.
I don't think you know how kids work, Kjetil.
No,
just tell them and ask them. Like,
I've tried to get my kids interested in radio, and they're in a different generation and a different bubble, and it's not their thing. So I am not the one with the solutions on how to do that. But I think part of the solution to recruiting younger people and making the hobby more diverse is not having older and middle-aged and older white men tell the other people what ham radio is. There need to be kids need to tell kids that ham radio is cool, and women need to tell women that ham radio is cool. We're just not credible among the kids when we tell them that ham radio is cool.
I'm gonna give you just a little bit of a difference of opinion. It's okay to just be a white man who loves ham radio. It's okay. It's not a thing. My son jokes sometimes about this. Granted, I live in a country that there are a lot of African Americans here, so we're a lot of black and white, and race seems to be about everything. So, please, anybody watch this, I mean this in all just for fun. This is what my son always tells me when I say stuff like this. He goes, "Dad, I don't see the guys out on the basketball court trying to recruit more white people to come out there and play basketball with them." I'm like, okay.
No, but what I'm actually thinking is if you look at my viewership on my YouTube account, I have 0.1% women, and gender wise, we should have a more balanced hobby. I think that would help the hobby grow and help the hobby be relevant for more people than just us. Age-wise, I think getting a 16-year-old into ham radio might not be the solution. I heard George over at Ham Radio Workbench, I think it was him that said it, that the ideal age for a new ham is somewhere when people are in their 30s. Yeah, because they're done with kids, they're done with partying, they have disposable income to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with the one thing that you said there, Walt, when they're out there playing their basketball courts, at least what I've seen in movies from the States, that's very visible. And that's something we're doing. We're out there showing off radio visible outdoors. Mm-hmm. So we are the ones doing that. And they're not marketing it. They're just being visible and showing off that this is cool to do, and people join them. And we could do the same, or should do the same. So
it could. I think we have to face the fact that it could be that ham radio actually isn't cool.
No.
Oh, it's cool.
Martin, remove that guy.
Impossible.
and I see that Jeff's got a comment here. What is the gender mix for Susie's sewing circle? I bet I don't know what Susie's sewing circle is, but I bet it's more than.
He's saying the same thing my son is saying. You know, it's okay for a group of certain types of people to have a certain hobby that certain group or demographic likes to do. I'm not saying that it would just thrill me to death if we had people of all ages, races, nationalities. Yeah, we do have a lot of different nationalities. I mean, and for that matter, think about it. We've all operated the Middle East, Asia, Africa, whatever, and those people are different than all of us European people or whatever. So they're there. I think we can't get wrapped around the axle on diversity. We just need to get wrapped around the axle about keeping the hobby going. You know what I mean? That's really what I'm worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think just trying to chase more people into it, just make sure it's accessible.
You can ask Boeing how the worrying about diversity and new hires more than quality, how that's going for Boeing right now. How about that? You know what I mean?
I think Boeing had a couple of other motives as well for not doing things so well, but that's probably not for on here.
Maybe they should look at people knowing how to screw a door on a plane before they think about who
but let's try to get on topic before we get
I'm sorry, my American is coming out of me. You guys go ahead. I'll be quiet. I apologize.
Before we get into a landscape where we shouldn't be on this channel. But
so I'll just put Boeing on the list of non-sponsors for the next season. Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem, but
let's see. We're talking about ham radio brands and dealers to trust, and what brought this on was a post in our Discord in the show ideas. I think it was stream ideas channel. Where I think you said, Tobias, that you hadn't bought anything from Temu or AliExpress. Is that correct?
That's right.
How is that possible? It's 2024. How is it possible that you haven't bought anything from what we call China? How is that even possible?
I haven't either from Temu or AliExpress.
I probably have bought it.
How about
I've
eBay?
just bought it for 3 times the price via Amazon, right?
I guarantee you, everybody's bought something from China, and they don't even know that. Some people don't even realize they bought a Chinese product. You know what I mean?
Chinese products, that's one thing, but a lot of the things that surround me here, they came directly from China. Most of it I bought through eBay, but it's apparent that it came directly from China. It even says so on eBay. And I'm just amazed that you managed to steer clear of that. It's
It's interesting when you buy something on eBay and you say item location Germany, for example, and then it comes with a sticker with your name on it from Shenzhen instead.
Exactly.
So some of these people are not honest, I believe, or maybe they just did a mistake all the times it happened to me.
It's an honest mistake, right?
Yeah. But I'm gonna just come with a little bit of a statement here, just to see if we can get the discussion flowing here. When buying quality and expensive stuff, I usually buy from local dealers, and dealers that I know and can trust.
Yep.
But when it comes to stuff like, let's open my drawer here and see what pops out first here. Actually, nothing that was suitable for showing here popped up when I opened the drawer. But when it comes to, let's say, power poles, connectors, Quanshanks, Baofangs, I buy that from AliExpress. I just to honor today's show topic, I bought a 5-meter telescopic whip from China this week, which I hope is in better quality than the last telescopic whip I bought from China. But I borrowed Bob's one for way longer than I should. So my guess is that I was unlucky with the first one.
You didn't break mine, so I'm guessing that's going to hold up really nicely. So
yeah. And Jeff says your true SDX. My USDX, my Chinese USDX was not bought by me from China, but I sold that yesterday, so I cannot show that off today.
Yeah, but I tend, like, if I'm buying an expensive radio, like something I'm paying a few or more than a few €100 for, then I tend to go with local ones as well. And in Norway, that's we have a lot of consumer protection within Norway if you buy stuff. So there's a reason for that. But if I'm buying something like that's cost maybe 50 euros or 50 US dollars or something like that, then eBay is more than good enough.
Absolutely.
I have to say, as in reference to the Norwegian consumer or buyer protection rights,
Yeah.
I find that if you just stick with it, if you get screwed, that's allowed to say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. If you get screwed by an eBay seller, they will try in every which way to get you to accept some sort of solution where you keep the item and they give you back just a little bit of money. If you just stick with your case and don't give in, they will send you back your money before the case will be settled by eBay. So I actually spending quite a bit of money on anything from eBay. I'm not really worried to do that because for every single case where I've been screwed by an eBay seller, I've got my money back, and I asked the seller to send me a return shipping label so I can return the product, and they didn't. So I got the product, broken product, or the product that didn't match the description, and I got all my money back. So eBay seller buyer protection works really, really well as well. So
it's the fear of a bad comment, right? So that's just, we don't want any negative comments there in my, and they do whatever they need to do to avoid that. So.
Absolutely. And,
absolutely. But the thing about Norwegian, I think most European countries have that. You have, first of all, you have a legal time limit for the warranty on the product. And then if there's a manufacturing error on the product, at least in Norway, you have 5 years to complain on a product.
Yep. So there are some things when it comes to, say, really expensive things. But I've also bought a lot of things on eBay. And the only times I've had issues, I've always, as Bob says, gotten the money back because they are so afraid of that. I once left a negative comment on one, and he got really angry with me. And that ended up with me getting the money as well. So,
I think eBay, one thing you have to be careful is buying used, because, on eBay, when you buy used, there will be right there on it as is. The seller will put as is on there, and then they'll say it worked fine, or I'm not licensed, but I fire it up, it receives. I've had that issue more than once. I've got a couple radios that Tentec radio that I had didn't work. That's the care. But buying new, I've been burned. I got burned on AliExpress on my first FX4C, the one I tried to buy. I got the little red tassel in the mail. They took my money. But here, I guess you guys have PayPal there too, right? Do you use PayPal in Europe? Yeah. I just went straight to PayPal and got that money immediately back through PayPal. And
that's the same in Norway. We actually buying from eBay. You have 3 levels of discourse when something goes wrong. You can complain to eBay, which in all the cases I've done so, I've gotten my money back. If that doesn't work, you can use PayPal and you can complain there, and you have a really good chance of getting your money back. Even if that doesn't work, Norwegian law says that you can complain to the card issuer and you can get your money back that way. So there's 3 levels. This sounds like an awful lot of work, but if you buy something worth maybe $1,000 US dollars or euros, then it's probably worth the effort. So I'm not worried about that. That maybe a little bit more that there are some not so fantastic quality parts that you can get. So I might be a little bit more worried about that, especially if you're going to mate it with something expensive, like we talked about, maybe a Chinese power supply that's going to cost you 80 euros, and you match that to a radio that's going to cost you 3,000 euros. Might not be a good idea because you're not going to get the price of the radio back from eBay, that's for sure. So
and
say rubber duck antennas, for example. If you buy those off eBay, most of them are not exactly genuine, to say it that way.
But it says Nagoya on this one, Kjetil.
Yes, but it's not the correct shade of blue, to say it that way. But some of them are. You may be lucky, but I've never gotten a genuine 2-meter whip antenna off eBay or any of the other ones.
But
No,
the thing is, these whips, they're not really hard to replicate. So what I've found is I buy these and they cost maybe €1. And of course, it's not a real anything, but they work just as well. At least the ones I've gotten, they've worked just as well as the original. So, yeah.
But it says a brie on this one, and the sticker does not. It's not really straight on. So, but it does work though. There's something about going out with this antenna on your Baofeng.
It works. I have one of those. That works good.
Oh, it works really well. You have a half wave on 2 meters with this one.
But you know what? Getting kind of back over, we're talking about China, but it's the Chinese brands. Me being such a Xiegu guy, I get beat up a lot from people about using Chinese radios. And isn't ICOM and Yaesu, if you pop the top off of those and look at all the components inside, I don't know where they're assembled, but they're assembled with a whole lot of Chinese parts in them. You know what I mean? And I think of all the Chinese brands, I know we got Retevis and Baofeng and all that stuff, but for HF, to me, how I see it, I think Xiegu is a very respectable brand now, and they're really building themselves up to be a competitor with the Yaesus and the ICOMs or whatever. I mean, they just released. I don't want one. I don't seem to be too excited about it, but the X6200, they got the 61, they got the G90, which I absolutely love. The 5105. I think they laid an egg with the G106, but the fact that we all know these radios, every radio I just mentioned, we all know it, means that's a brand. It's like that's a Chinese brand that's making a name for himself, and so there is some quality there and something.
Yeah, and I think that the 5105 and the G90 was the two radios that really built Xiegu as a quality brand. And unfortunately, they haven't made anything that matches that quality since.
Although I had the 6100, and I not going to say it's not a great radio, but the fact that they were going with the bigger, trying to keep a small package with a bigger screen or whatever. And I think they didn't quite get it worked out with the 6100. So I personally, I've said this before, I think they made a mistake trying to go to the 6200, which is just a second iteration of the 6100.
It's a 6100 Mark II. Let's be honest about it.
Right. Let's be honest about it. I used to say this way back in the day before I really thought and realized what I have with the G90, but I don't know why they don't take the G90 architecture and make a 100-watt radio with it. They call it the G100. Yep. That would be, they would slay the FT891. I think they would just, that would, people are going to love their Yaesus or whatever.
Or just a slightly bigger display and call it G90 version 2. You don't have to change a lot on that radio to second generation.
They would need to put a USB sound card in it, or like same as on the X6100. That would make things so much bigger.
Just listen to us now. This explains why Xiegu is not doing that. Because if you ask 10 hams, what do I need to do to the G90 to make a G90 Mark II? You get 10 completely different answers. And if you try to do everything, it's going to cost more than the 705, and that doesn't make any sense. But I need to agree with Walt, because what you're saying is just because something's made in China does not at all make it a bad product. I think my second most expensive radio is a Chinese radio, and it's let's see if I can man it, and it's this one. Yeah. This is, in all probability, this is assembled in China, and it's a fantastic piece of engineering. And so just because something's made in China, it does not in any way make it bad. It's just that.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to use a bit your common sense, If it's some no-name brand that is sold on AliExpress that nobody ever heard of, chances are that you get what you pay for, right? And if it's a well-known brand that's established and is already out, then there's a pretty high chance that you get a good product, yeah? The thing is just about local warranty, yeah? Like if you spend 1,000 euros or dollars on something and then it breaks, do you want to ship it back to Shenzhen to get fixed or so? They just say, hey, sorry, guy, forget it, right?
Yeah.
That's the really reason why you buy your expensive radios locally.
But I wouldn't do an experiment here. I want to just search for ham radio on AliExpress, see what pops up.
Are you sure you dare to do that live? Considering
don't look for rod or mast or something like that.
That's not really
Isn't
fair.
this the radio you sold? Is this the radio you sold yesterday, Bob?
It is.
Oh, hang on. It opened in a new tab. I need to do this.
I see they're sponsored by Euro or sponsoring some football thing or just putting their logo in there.
Actually, I watched a couple of games in the Euro 2024, and they have AliExpress is one of their sponsors, and Alipay, which I guess is a subsidiary of AliExpress, and then BYD, which is Chinese cars, as a major sponsor. So the Chinese are sponsoring a lot of events like that.
Euro by the
United, a couple more weeks, and we'll all be singing, "It's coming home, it's coming home."
No,
I have
Germany is going to win.
Euro 2024. Is that a contest?
Come on, England.
It is the European Soccer Championships.
Did they buy the
why are we talking about that?
Because they have AliExpress as a sponsor.
Oh, all right. Yeah, well,
maybe they should get Retevis as a sponsor.
but we have, let's see here. We have a headset for radio for $10.
Yep.
I mean, you don't expect stellar quality, but it's probably going to work.
Sure.
You have your usual Baofangs, your Quanshangs. I mean, it's not the high quality products, but I mean, a lot of these products are affordable, especially to new hams and low income hams.
Yeah,
if you add an HF to that search, and you might get some more interesting radios if you just want to.
Yeah, and by like these ones being there at that price, that shows you that like paying more doesn't necessarily give you a much better radio, like on the base level, but you get perhaps better filtering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to reply to a comment. Click that. Look at that, $438.
Yep.
Stuart, my friend Stuart, M0. I think a lot of. I really like Stuart a lot. Me and him.
Stuart.
Yeah, he says that it's a circus grade receiver. Yeah, but a circus grade receiver for $438 compared to the $891 in the States is up around $900. Double the price. So
yeah,
half the price. I'll take the circus grade because it works, and it works very well. I mean,
yeah,
and if you bring it to the beach and it falls in the sea, you're not going to really be bankrupted by it. That's an important thing for portable radio.
Help people when they
almost have the money for a second one in the bank.
Right.
You can see they had a 891 there. If you scroll one up and to the right.
Yeah.
So they
888. Yeah. So there you go, double the price. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But you get what you pay for. Like that paying more will probably give you a more sturdy and better radio.
It gives you 100 watts and no ATU.
That as well. But
no SDR screen.
But one interesting thing, when I bought my Zygo X6100, I bought it from a Swedish shop, Limmared, I think it was called. And that was basically because it wasn't for sale in Norway yet, and they handled taxes and everything from there. And they have since stopped selling every Zygo product because they had issues with returns. Because over here in Scandinavia, as we said earlier, stores can't just say we don't care about returns and we're go away customer. Here they actually have to handle it. So they actually stopped selling all Zygo radios. I'm not sure if they put it back. I sincerely doubt it. And that's interesting. That's also something I like in a store.
Yeah, I think that's why they set up Radiodity over here in the States for that very reason, for returns. And Radiodity is just Zygo with a corporate, a warehouse and a front in the United States is all it is.
They're selling Zygo radios.
So they're back again.
The 6100 is 8,545 Swedish kroner, which is about $850.
And this is where I'd go buy the FT891 and agree with Stuart.
Yep. The G90 is 6,170, but that is including sales tax, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, you can actually prepay taxes into Norway, so you don't get slapped with some extra things to pay taxes. So it's really nice. But having some some nice stores to go and shop in is important, but I've also been to some traditional stores where they basically told me that ham radio customers are annoying, that we're demanding, and they don't really want ham radio customers.
There
And that
is
was from
one
a ham.
there is one of the Norwegian ham radio stores that is like that. Yes.
Yeah, and that's a ham radio store. So maybe they're in the wrong business.
I got to say that ham radios is not what they make their money for. They make emergency vehicles and fit them with lights and radios and everything. Ham radios is just because the owner is a ham, and that's his side hustle and hobby. So, but we're not going to mention any names there. We're only going to mention the stores that we like on this one.
Yeah,
And I'd like to, since we mentioned the Swedish one, I'd like to mention my favorite Norwegian one. I think might be the favorite of a lot of Norwegian hams, and that's Christek.
Christek, and he has sponsored a couple of our episodes. The owner there, and it's a great shop, and you can call the owner and he will help you.
Yeah, the thing with Christek is not just that you can call the owner. I bought a through chassis fastening thing for the 3/8 whips with a PL connector at the bottom. I bought that. It costs maybe $5. 6 months later, Christopher from Christek, he calls me on the phone and said, we found out that these things, the connector on the bottom is no good. It could loosen up so that you lose the connection. So if you want to, you can just send it back, and we'll send you back the money, or we can send you a new unit. He called me. This is a purchase of $5. He called me to let me know that, so I wouldn't break a radio on that thing. That's the sort of level of customer service you get from that guy.
Yeah, I would continue
Fantastic.
with no matter what. I'd pay the extra for that kind of service.
Oh, that's where I buy all my gear, and when I buy expensive gear, and sometimes when I buy cheap gear as well, because it's fast. It's a lot faster delivery than China.
Yeah,
sadly, there's things he doesn't have, so I have to shop elsewhere for the fact that he doesn't have everything. I'd probably get absolutely everything from there.
I also like to have local stores, like to have something in Norway. So, and that's probably something you know from the States as well. You like to buy American or buy from an American business. I saw something.
I learned a great lesson, when I went to Dayton. I think now, like if I was leading up and I knew there was they have Dayton, they have Hamcation in Orlando, they have Huntsville with these big shows. I think if I was going to make a big purchase, I would wait and make the purchase at the Ham Fest, because all the big vendors are there. 1, 2, usually at a Ham Fest like that, they're having a discount, a Ham Fest / discount. You're face to face with the person and they're handing it to you almost like a brick and mortar store or whatever. And it just kind of adds to the whole thing. Shadow, I agree. I try to, that's the way where in a country as big as mine, the closest store to me in Virginia is Ham Radio Outlet, and it's on the other side of the state. I mean, it's like a 5-hour drive. It's crazy. Fortunately, and for you, like you guys have a place right there in Norway. I know it's not next to you, but it's a drive. It's probably a little closer. It's hard to buy within.
Well, that shop he doesn't have a physical store though.
But you can pick it up there. I needed a radio fast, and but from where I live, it's a 2.5-hour drive each way.
Yeah, I had the mag mount antenna on my car fail on me, and I called him and asked if I could pick it up because I was nearby. And he runs everything from his basement, so I stopped by there. He came out and made the purchase in his driveway there, and it's just really good service.
There's no one close to me, so I have to buy online basically if I want anything. So, but I saw something really fun when I looked at Limared at the G90. They had a recommended antenna to go with it, and that's a 1 kilowatt rated 11-meter antenna.
I told you the G90 will tune anything, so you're like just hook it up.
If you're going to use it on 11 meters, you need an axe, don't you, Kjetil?
I don't know. I'm not the 11-meter certified operator. So,
but you do own an axe.
Yes. Can you share, Martin?
I can share. I just want to comment on Steve's comment here.
Well, Steve, I think that one of the best that I haven't been there, but seeing it online, one of the coolest things about the UK, I don't know where you're at, but Martin Lynch and Sons, I like the way they do. They walk through their store and show you all the used equipment or whatever. There's a brick and mortar store right there in the UK.
Let's see if I can find the recommended.
That we don't have.
I shared it, Martin.
Radio shop in the
you
Munich
shared it.
area
Okay.
anymore. So.
So it's 27 megahertz, 1 kilowatt.
It's fantastic. I also saw that they claimed that customers that bought the G90 also bought the AH705. I find that a little bit difficult to believe, but all right.
What is that for?
That's the tuner for the 705.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you need an external tuner with your G90?
An external tuner that only works with the 705.
And I'm going to say in Norway there is one brick and mortar store left, I think, with ham radios, and that's the store which doesn't like hams.
No, there are more. There are at least 2 more that sell it. There's one near Kongsberg and there's one in Bergen.
Yeah. Are those real physical brick and mortar stores?
Oh, yes. Or they're not made by bricks, but
in there, I know here in the States, I never went to a truck stop or like a truck plaza in Europe the whole time I was there. But here in the States, the big truck stops that are off of the motorways, the interstates, when you go in those, they have like a complete 11-meter CB shops in those. A lot of them do. It's really cool because I guess they have the foot traffic. All the truckers that use CBs go in there. I mean, they have all the presidents, the Unidens. They have they have antennas, wire, and everything. It's like a lot of them have counters that are just like a little CB shops in them. I don't know if you guys have been in. You guys have truck stops, right? You know what I'm talking about, like the truck.
I know what we're talking about. There's nothing like that in Norway. We're a small country, but
I think I would die for having a local ham radio shop where you can buy used from a reputable, seller.
Yeah.
So something like Martin Lynch and Son, that is just the guys in the UK is so lucky to have a store like that. Yeah, I mean, I would be just, if I would live in the area, I would just walk in every day and see if there's something new.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, Tobias, but I have to say, if I had a store like that within walking distance, I'd be perpetually broke.
Yeah,
but
I'm maxed out all the time.
We're just gonna take a look at one thing here, because back at that webpage that you showed, I'm gonna see if I can embig in the right window here, though.
You can switch it to American as well on the top.
I'm just gonna go through the brands though. So because we talked about Chinese brands, and if you look at the brands here, we have Aniseku, Chinese brand, Anytone, Chinese, CRT, Chinese, VGC Vero, Chinese, Waxon, Chinese, Saigu, Chinese, Quansheng, Chinese. So the majority of the brands in the ham radio section here, are Chinese brands.
And I'll add to that real quick, Morton. You see President down there? I met the head engineer for President Radios. I met him. We talked about it. Remember, I told you about they were going to make the thing. He says everything that President puts out is designed in the United States, and then they ship everything. They put all of the engineering package over to China. Everything built in China and sent back to out. And that's what I was going to say earlier, Bjorn. That's what I was going to say. Your iPhone, or if that's even whatever phone, if that's an iPhone, that iPhone was designed and completely engineered in California and completely built in China. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a very nice way of doing it.
Yeah. But my point here was that when you look at this, these brands, I mean, they're not only made in China, but they are Chinese brands. So in our hobby, the Chinese products are common whether you like it or not, and a lot of them are actually pretty good quality.
Yeah, and they are coming because the other companies, or the old ones, they probably tried just to write it off and said, like, this is not going to happen. and keep selling their old products at really big prices. So like that doesn't work. They can sell some radios for like $10,000. That's okay, but so many people would like to buy the cheap ones, at least new hands.
There's the ethical. Someone's gonna mention the ethical side of it. But labor is cheaper in China, and there's people, it's compared to what it would cost to build somewhere else, and that's
one thing is the labor aspect. The other thing is that it is not a market economy per se, and the Chinese government is subsidizing a lot of these companies in order to be a competitive product in the rest of the world.
Yep.
Okay. This is getting very political, and since you bring that up, which government doesn't for their industries in their own country?
Yeah, but there's and you probably know more about this, but the EU Tobias than I do. The EU has put on a tax for Chinese electric vehicles because they are so cheap that they are out competing the European electric vehicles.
So
yeah, the whole electric vehicle debate here in Germany is a bit strange and schizophrenic. Yeah, like everybody should buy electric vehicles. There's no charger infrastructure, and the car manufacturers here in Germany, they primarily built for the premium segment. Yeah, so where are the real cheap, affordable electric cars, and where can they be charged? Yeah, so that's a whole different dimension. But yeah, the one thing that I want to say is the subsidizing of the shipping. Yeah, so if you buy from Temu or AliExpress, it's somehow shipping included. Yeah, and I just recently bought the set match kit from MTech from the US, and it was almost borderline insanity to buy it because there's like $60 shipping it from the US to my door, right? Plus tax on top. Yeah. So the whole subsidizing of the shipping and the post, that's really the crazy bit.
And that is because there is an agreement among the postal services. I think it is International Post Union. That or the National Telecommunications Union. I'm not sure which of these, which has an agreement that developing countries get subsidized for postage. You could argue to a certain degree if China is one of those countries that is actually
they have the 1,000-year plan to overtake the world, and they'll probably manage. Yeah. So
I have to say, I don't know what this is like in the other parts of the world, but currently in Norway, very few of the Chinese big sellers actually use the Chinese post and that agreement to bring their merchandise into Europe or into Norway. They will ship it by container or by some other transport means, and they will have it distributed from Norway. So that's
but
really,
aren't the
Norway,
local carriers obliged to continue the shipping? So once it gets out of customs, some local carrier has to deliver it, no matter how much it hurts their own business.
Not if it's shipped by other means of transport.
Not if it's not shipped by the postal service. You are not obliged to carry it on.
I'll tell you what, I've purchased quite a few items from Europe. I purchased a Romanian army surplus mask from Romania, shipped to DHL and got it within a week. I've purchased 2 DX Commander poles, a 7-meter and a 10-meter pole from the UK. I got them in like 2 or 3 days during December, which is like crazy for shipping because of Christmas. I've ordered 2 coils and a half-wave antenna from M1 ECC in the UK. Got that in a week. So all that, I believe, was all DHL. So you guys, and I can't get anything in the States that quick. So I think within Europe, if you guys have better commercial shipping, when you say with like DHL.
Well, DHL is in a league of its own.
Right.
UPS is really fast from the country of origin till it reaches the warehouse in Oslo. Then they tend to lose your package for 3 weeks before it gets a delivered status, which means it's probably handed over to the Norwegian Postal Service for delivery. Since I live out in the woods where DHL doesn't deliver,
I have to say,
or UPS.
This is not my experience with the UPS. So I'm guessing you've been unlucky. For me, UPS works almost as nice as DHL, living in a bit of a bigger city.
We had a discussion about the sponsor that I won't be getting back, and they shipped a lot to me with the UPS for a while. I had to ask him to use DHL instead because I really wanted the package to arrive.
I'll tell you a UPS story that happened to me about 4 months ago. I ordered my son an iPhone 15 Pro Max through our carrier. They sent it UPS to me. When it was delivered, they took a picture. UPS takes a picture of it. It sends you that it's been delivered. I go downstairs. I get it. It was an empty box without the phone in it. I looked in the side, and it had been slit, and someone had taken the phone out of it. And when I looked at the picture, I zoomed in on it, and you could see that they delivered it that way. So someone in the shipping world of UPS stole a $1,500 phone in the system of UPS. Is what I could say. UPS didn't want to do anything about it. I contacted the carrier here is Verizon, showed them all the pictures, the evidence. They sent me another new one, but that's why I don't have a whole lot of faith in UPS here. So.
I think you have bad actors like that at every shipping company. So I wouldn't think that is typical of UPS. At least at my end, I've been really, really happy with the things they deliver. I ordered enough things that the UPS driver in Tønsberg, he's got my cell phone number. So whenever he sees my name, he calls me and asks, "Are you at the home office or the office today?" So yeah, oh, cool. UPS works very nicely for me.
One thing you also have to say, these delivery drivers, they are, the most underpaid. How should you say? At the end of the food chain, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, they have a really hard time, and I think for companies like DHL, at least in Germany, they always also like to subcontract. Yeah. So when you're really employed directly at DHL, get all the employment benefits, but if you subcontracted from DHL, then hey, here are your 1,000 packets to deliver on a day. Oh, you have 40-degree fever. Bad luck then, because you're a subcontractor. DHL doesn't care. It's the responsibility of the company that subcontracts, and sometimes that's a single person running a single business. So
get back on,
you have to take it with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah, and to get back on topic, buy in a brick and mortar store, then you don't have to.
Yeah, but I think this is on topic. Shipping it's important when you buy things.
Part of the purchase is the shipping. It really.
For example, if I buy something, there are some shippers that I don't buy from stores that use only those shippers.
Mm-hmm. I know which one you mean.
Yeah, and
they have a blue and white logo. Yeah.
Yes. And that's basically because I've had so many packages either delayed a lot or disappeared, and that's also a big thing about this. Like it's not only the store, but like, do I trust the people that send me my goods? And in some cases, I don't. So.
Yeah. That is important. When I make a purchasing decision, I will look at how it will be sent to me, and if it's coming from another part of the world, if it's sent by DHL or UPS, then that's a really, really big positive for me. I will try and find a site that can do that.
There's one thing we've just barely touched that we need to touch in this episode before we get too much on overtime, and that is buying used gear.
No.
Yeah. Because that's something we all do at some point, except for Kjetil. He only buys new ham radio gear, but the rest of us,
the people.
So far, I had only positive experience buying used.
I have also
X3000 is used, and I got the Revex SWR meter used. The TS50 is from eBay, and also the tuner, and everything worked so far. So I'm not burnt buy some scumbag
No, not at
seller
all.
on eBay or somewhere else. But of course, you have to be careful. Check who is selling. Check
Check their
the
call
rating.
sign. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
If you look at my radio shelf in my shack here, the icon on top here, used. Speaker, I think that's used. I think I got that with some other product. Flex radio, used. Tuner, let's see if I can find it. Tuner, used. The power meter is actually new, and the Maestro is used. So I buy a lot of used gear just because you can sometimes get better deals in used gear.
Yeah, I was going to get that road. I don't know about some of the times I look for something used on eBay, and these people are very proud of their used product. You might as well just go buy it new. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ham radio people think that they're sitting on gold.
Now thinking about it, there's one company in Germany who's on eBay who sells used amateur radio equipment. Let me. It's Haro. Let me find the link. I bought several times from them, and it was all okay, or at least they are fair. When they sell used radio gear, and it's like whatever radio from the 80s, then they check it up, and then they say, okay, we checked it, and all the potentiometers are a bit dodgy and crackling, and it doesn't give you the full output power. And I mean, they tell you up front, this is the state, and then you read through it, and then you can decide, do you want it or not? So no surprises there.
Yeah.
And buying that from a retailer that sells used stuff like that, I wouldn't have a problem with. And also buying some somewhat cheap equipment isn't a big issue. But buying a big expensive rig, like for example a 7300 used, or a portable radio used, knowing how I use my equipment, I wouldn't buy anyone else's.
I bought my 7300 used, and I bought it for about €1,000, $1,000.
Yep.
I wired that money to the seller, which lives 600 kilometers away from me, before he sent it in the mail. And I might be a trusty person, but still, I got the other party's call sign, and it's a small country. It's a small hobby. It's not going to be too hard to track people down if they scam you.
Now, there are a few people you hear about, but that is rare. And
yeah.
The thing in Norway, we are a fairly small community. So what I've done in the cases where I've spent a substantial amount of money buying something used, I will ask I'll ask around in the club for the call sign and say, would you want to buy something used from this guy? And normally at least someone will know them and know whether they're honest people, good people, whether they take care of their stuff. And so in the cases where they said, sure, go and do it, I'll just do it. And I've done that many times, like you described, Morten. Whenever you buy something used in Norway, that's the norm. You you wire the money, and then they send you the item. I don't have a problem doing that, at least for things in Norway.
Not at all. And it's such a small community in Norway as well. So you know the guy, at least, and when you sell stuff, you know which buyers is going with a low bid only to sell this later on. And I've said to several people that I'm not selling to them, because I know that the same product is going to be for sale at a higher price point in 2 weeks. But I have no problems buying used. Most of my gear I bought either on Hamfest or local. But I mean,
that's the way to buy used, I think, is buying it if you're there, not
and also call the guy, have a talk with him, because when you're talking instead of texting, you get a feel on what kind of person this is.
Yeah, true statement.
And of course, if you're buying a $30,000 radio, it might be worth taking a 4 or 5 hour drive to actually look at the product if it's somewhat not nearby but within driving distance.
Yeah,
like the guy that bought my 7300, he took a 4 hour motorcycle ride to take a look at the radio.
You see, he's a motorcyclist. They do that for fun, these people.
Yeah. And I hope we've given the viewers some value today. I hope that we've at least been somewhat on topic.
Yeah,
Yep.
we were. Even when you thought we were off topic, shipping, like Bjorn said, it's important. It's a big part.
It is really important when buying stuff, either if it's new or used. And as Cheta said, regarding some shipping companies, I also ask usually the sellers, which shipping company are you going to use? And if it's the one with the blue and white logo, I'm gonna say no thanks to that.
I think
Yeah,
and we skirted and just barely dipped our toes in the politics just a little bit and stayed out of it and stared back to back.
You haven't seen the Discord channel, Walt.
Yeah, we'll talk politics.
What's in Discord here? Is there any new?
That's where I get political incorrect. Don't go there, guys.
No.
So and guys, if you want to join the European Ham Radio Show POTA camp out in less than 2 weeks, join our Discord, hamshow.eu/Discord, where you'll see Tobias being politically incorrect, and we're a good community. I haven't moderated a single guy in a year there, so
me neither.
we are.
Me neither.
We're a friendly group of hams there.
At the beginning, we had some accidental auto moderation, but then we said, okay, let's allow swearing. So since then,
Yeah,
I think that was me primarily getting caught in that.
But we have a lot of people sharing their hobbies and their portable operations and asking for advice or giving advice. So it's really nice to see. There's almost always a message there when you turn Discord on.
And I want to go as far as say that some people in Discord are people that I almost consider friends now.
Yes.
Even though I've never met them. So
Absolutely, yes.
Even some of the people I have met in there, I almost consider friends.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you sure after yesterday? No.
Oh yeah. Bob and I had a nice.
Speaking about yesterday, we were a little bit worried when you hadn't showed up and you were supposed to be on the panel, and it was just a little while away.
Yeah, I was there 2 hours before the panel, and I was there 5 minutes before I said I was supposed to turn up. So, but I stopped by my mother, who lives 5 hours away from me, just to drop something off. And you know how that goes. It took a while.
How many shelves did you fix? And
no, we just sat there chatting for half an hour or so.
Good.
Yeah.
How many pieces of cake did you get?
None, actually. I rarely get that there.
I see everyone has different issues with their mom. My mom and father, they're moving house. So whenever I'm there, they try to get me to take some of their stuff. They can't bring it all with them. So we all have different problems with parents, I guess.
You just check it for antenna suitability, and then you take it.
I'm just gonna say, think about that when you have your parents around. That's just my piece of advice.
Same here. My mother's gone, but my dad's still around. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, same here. So when someone's gone, you'll miss the moments you haven't had. So even though you have to drink coffee, fix shelves, take stuff from them, do that while you still can.
Right.
That's the best advice all day.
And on that bombshell, we're going to end the show tonight. 7-3, guys. See you next week for the season finale of the European Ham Radio Show. 7-3.
7-3.